Guru Nation, how is it going? I wanted to do a quick, well, maybe not so quick video. I wanted to do a simple, in plain language video on how a research site, this is going to be good obviously for research sites that are newer, new coordinators, or even new CRAs. How a research site needs to submit a investigator application, so a new site application to an IRB, to a central IRB, when you're assigned a study. So for every study you do, right, the site needs to get IRB approval. The process is basically the same no matter what the central IRB is. The process is virtually the same in every case. There's an online portal. In my case, for my site here, my brand new site in Yuma, Arizona, Yuma Clinical Trials, we happen to use Advara for the site submission IRB portal, right? So what I had to do, I'm the coordinator. I had to create my own profile. Then the IRB sent me my login info. I had to log in. Then we had to create a account for my PI with his email. And then he had to activate it. And so now the coordinator, myself doing the application, and my PI, who you need to have the application, you need to have an account for them. Now you can do the online form, which only took me like 20 minutes. Not that hard. Honestly, Advara, I haven't done this in a while, so I'll be able to compare the IRBs. It was not that difficult. Maybe a few glitches here and there I encountered. All in all, not that frustrating at all. So the first page you get into is to confirm you have access to the correct form, please select one. The one I selected was I'm a clinical research site that is joining a multi-site study for which Advara will act as the central IRB. The sponsor or CRO has or will submit the protocol. That's like 90% of the time what you're going to do, unless you are a research site that's submitting a single investigator study, like an investigator-initiated trial, or you're a sponsor or CRO, and you're submitting the protocol on behalf of the sites. So in your case, in my case also, I am the site. I am the site. So then you start the application. It says, please select to choose your investigator. So this is why I had to register my PI. Before I registered him, I tried to manually enter his name. It won't let me. We had to create an account for him. He had to activate it. Then his name popped up. So that's the PI role. And probably my PI is never going to actually log in unless they make him. It's going to be me doing everything with my account. Then you type in the protocol title. You have to type it in exactly how it is in the protocol, the little title. I'm not going to read it, confidential. And then you type in the protocol number. Pretty simple. Then the questions start coming up, okay? Do you want to submit a sub-investigator for the IRB to review? Note, this is not a requirement. I put no. Please add any other members that will need access to the study. Here you can put other staff members, but they will have to all create accounts if you want to put them on there. And you can always go back and add people later, so I just put myself for now. Then you put your site name, company name, and address. Fairly simple. Then it asks you which of the following subject populations will be enrolled. It asks if it's adults, males only, females only, pregnant women, minors, prisoners, nursing home, hospitalized. I checked adults. There's a bunch of options there. The next one says, please confirm you are not targeting any population for enrollment other than those required by study design. I confirm. How many subjects are expected to be enrolled at your site? You put what you expect. If a sponsor has assigned you a site number, please put it. We did. Are you in a participating network of sites? No. Regulatory inspections. Do we have any regulatory inspections on your site? Now they centralize these things, so it showed me this IRB said we do not have any audit information on file for the PI or research location. If there are, let us know. There weren't any. Has the research study or your site ever been disapproved or withdrawn from another IRB? No. So that's that one. Pretty straightforward so far. It's all straightforward. It's just kind of a lot to do. Could be intimidating when you're new. Then they ask conflict of interest. The following questions apply to any investigator, anybody working on the study: PI, sub-I, research staff. Have any of the above individuals received compensation from a relevant company in exchange for speaking or serving on an advisory board that, when aggregated for immediate family prior to 12 months of 5,000 or greater? Do any of the above individuals have ownership interests like stock in a publicly held relevant company that, when aggregated for the immediate family for the prior 12 months? So this is no. This is for either the IRB. Relevant company refers to an entity that sponsors, provides support for, or owns or produces the technology being. So basically the sponsor. I guess you can, the CRO too. I'm not an attorney. We put no. Do any of the above individuals have ownership in a relevant company that's privately held? No. So it's basically all financial disclosure type things. Has an in-house institutional conflict of interest committee made any determinations? So no. Institutional conflict of interest? No. Here it asks you about the informed consent now. So the IRB will provide an ICF document formatted with your info. Indicate below the information that you want included. So I put the address. You have to put a primary phone number to be listed on the ICF, and you have to put a 24-hour number to be listed on the ICF. So my cell phone number is both of those. Eventually we will get a call center, but right now it's me. So I call. If you're in my study, you can call me 3 in the morning. The following questions are related to monetary and non-monetary compensation. So here it's going to ask how much you want to pay each patient. I put the amount per visit, and I put that they will be paid each visit, but you can choose monthly, quarterly. This is for paying the study participants. So you can choose whatever you and the sponsor agreed is appropriate during your contract and budget negotiation. Will you need the ICF translated into another language? I put yes. Spanish. The ICF given to potential study subjects will be in their native language. Yes. A staff member or interpreter fluent in the potential study subject's language will be available during the informed consent process. Yes. Are you requesting the IRB to grant a partial HIPAA waiver? No. Basically what the partial HIPAA waiver is being allowed to pre-screen patients. Because the patients are part of the PI's private practice, we don't need that. Are you planning to use electronic consent? No. Now they get into, we're about halfway through. Investigator experience and qualifications. How many years has the investigator been involved in research? Mine is new, so I put none. What is the investigator's national provider identifier NPI number? I actually had to Google because it's not on his resume or license. I didn't want to bug him, so I had to Google what it was. It's publicly available. I found it. What additional training, certifications, and or degrees in the field of human research protections has been completed by the investigator? So I put investigator meetings and good clinical practice. What is the current number of research studies supervised by the investigator? What is the approximate number of active research subjects currently supervised by the investigator? How many sub-Is? How many research staff members? Any other resource available at your site to support the administration of any active clinical trials, please provide them here. I put myself. Dan Sfera, site director, 16 years clinical trial experience. Questions. The next questions ask about the PI's specialties. So mine is board certified internal medicine and addiction medicine. What phases of research has the investigator conducted? None. They ask what previous kind of studies he's done. In my case, it was easy. None. Indicate any state or local laws having an impact on research at your investigator location. So it lists a few. You got to Google your own laws. Like you need this where you probably should either Google or be familiar with your state laws or local laws. In Arizona, it's none. California, for example, has experimental subject bill of rights. Age of majority is 19 years in U.S. states of Alaska, New England, and Canadian provinces, or 21 in Puerto Rico. State privacy laws, I don't know if any is New England. So age of majority is 19 years, U.S. state of AL, I'm assuming that's Alaska. And then it says, comma, NE and Canadian provinces of BC, British Columbia, I'm guessing, New Brunswick, some other things are 21, Puerto Rico. So you got to look into this stuff if you're in, like, just make sure. There's none in Arizona. Which of the following pending or ongoing actions, restrictions related to practice of medicine or research apply at your location? None. What recruitment methods may be used at your site? So you just check. I put in conversation during routine office visits, print, mass distributed print publications, flyer, poster, or bulletin, radio, TV, internet, database review. Will you be paying any professionals for their assistance in recruitment of potential subjects? For example, finder's fees, referral fees? I put no. Do any of your research locations have a local IRB? I put no. Does your site hold a federal-wide assurance? I actually had to ask Chris, because remember, I'm a client of my own company, DSCS, so I'm a client. So I asked Chris, hey, FWA, he says that's not required in like most studies, like maybe 1 out of 100 you're actually required to have that, but it's for NIH type of studies. We don't have that. I'll eventually get one for my site. We don't have that, so I put no. How would you describe the attitudes about research held by potential research subjects in your community? I put positive because I've already been talking to some of the patients in general about research, so I put positive. There is no other research in this town, so it would either be neutral or positive for me. Has there been any recent media focus on research in your community? No. We're almost done, guys. I'm going literally through everything for you. Then to ask you about recruitment, what sources of data will be reviewed for recruitment of potential patients? I put electronic database. Who has ownership of these database charts? So it's the site and it's the private practice on the site. Will you compare the inclusion-exclusion found in the protocol with the potential subject's information to determine eligibility? I mean, come on. No-brainer, you put yes. What methods will the research staff use to preserve the privacy and confidentiality of this info? I put locked cabinet, room accessible only to authorized staff, and password-protected database. Let's see here. Informed consent. It basically lists the process. The informed consent process, ongoing, continuous process. I guess I'll read it to you. Maybe it's going to help someone out. The informed consent process is ongoing, continuous process. It is the IRB's expectation that ongoing consent of the subject is ensured by the investigator during the course of the research study. To comply with the conditions of IRB approval, the following procedures must be followed during the informed consent process at your location. The investigator will not involve any individual in research study unless the investigator has obtained the legally effective informed consent of the potential research subject or their legally authorized representative. The potential research subject or legally authorized representative is provided sufficient opportunity to consider whether to participate in the research study. The consent process minimizes the possibility of coercion or undue influence. The consent discussion is in a language understandable to the potential research subject or legally authorized representative. The consent discussion is free from the use of any exculpatory language. Procedures required only for the research study will not be performed prior to obtaining consent. The most recent IRB approved version of the informed consent is used for enrollment. The potential research subject or legally authorized representative is given adequate time and place to read and review the ICF. Potential research subject or legally authorized representative is given the opportunity to take the ICF home for review prior to signing the document as appropriate. The consent discussion provides ample opportunity for the investigator or sub-investigator with equivalent qualifications to serve as investigator to be available to answer questions the potential research subject or legally authorized representative may have. Each person on the IRB approved informed consent signs and dates the form on the same visit as appropriate. The potential research subject or legally authorized representative receives a signed and dated copy of the ICF. The consent discussion includes an assessment of the subject's understanding of the study following the consent process and before being enrolled in the study. And last one. Oh, this is not a last one. Do you and your staff agree to comply with the conditions regarding informed consent process as outlined above? Obviously, put yes. Do you conduct competing research studies? No. Please specify the location at your site where the informed consent process will be conducted. In a private room, I put. Please specify the steps taken by the investigator and authorize research staff to minimize the possibility of coercion. It has pre-checks for you. The informed consent discussion is presented to the subject or their legally authorized representative by someone who is sufficiently knowledgeable about the research to properly interpret and correctly answer questions. The subject or their legally authorized representative is not pressured to participate in the research and is not penalized or excessively questioned for deciding not to participate. And the consent presentation is discussed in non-technical language understandable to the subject or their legally authorized representative, and the subject's legally authorized representative's understanding is confirmed through an unrushed two-way conversation. Check those and follow those. Please specify the steps taken by the investigator and authorized research staff to ensure that the subject is provided sufficient opportunity to consider participation in research. You check the subject is given adequate time and place to read and review the informed consent form. The subject is provided a sufficient waiting period between being informed of the study and signing the form. How will the subject's data be recorded? Identifiers will be anonymized, coded, or de-identified as outlined in the protocol. This is done automatically for you once you do the study. Choose all the mechanisms in place to ensure that the research records data will be kept to protect the privacy and confidentiality of the subject information. Paper-based records will be kept in a secure location, only accessible to authorized staff, and computer-based files will be available only to authorized staff using access and privileges and passwords. Then that's it. Last page, it says, please upload CV of the investigator, medical, and then put their medical license number and any recruitment materials. Upload those things, hit submit, and you're done. And hopefully that's not too boring. I realized I never did a video on this, so here you go. Good luck. Maybe you learned something here. Let me know in the comments. As always, like, subscribe, comment, share. If you don't know what to comment, leave a robot emoji. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.